Hello and welcome to Thursday afternoon. Oh, I don't know how to start the show. Hello and welcome to Two Guys One Cup.
It's
Thursday.
tips. It's our tips. We
It's
do them
Thursday
on,
afternoon
look, it's
tips.
Monday. It's not Thursday afternoon in any world in which we're doing this. They come out on Thursday afternoon. You could be watching this at any time. It's our tips. It's our weekly tips for the AFL.
It's our weekly guesses for the AFL in which we don't know who's in and who's out, what the injuries are, what the state of the game is. Let's get into it, Will. Friday night, things kick off. The Swans are hosting the Blues at the SCG. Ooh. One team will have more misery heaped upon it, and I think it's going to be Carlton.
Do you? I'm not 100% sure that it is. I'm not sure that Sydney are playing particularly well at the moment. I mean, I thought Carlton, I don't know, this would be
a good time to know whether or not the Swans are getting some players back.
This one in particular is a game that you might pick based on who is available for the respective teams. Like, the SCG isn't the fortress that it used to be for the Sydney Swans.
No.
And I think that, you know what, I'm going out on a limb. I feel like this, I'm going to say this is Carlton. Carlton are going to go up there. They're going to get a win on the board. They're going to restore some respectability to the Carlton Football Club. Swans, swan dive. Charlie Clausen's swan dive. So I'm going to say, the Blues.
I'm going to tip the Swans in this game. And that's just to show that I am not a psychopath when it comes to the Swans. I want good for that club and that team. All right, on to Saturday, 1:45 at Marvel Stadium. The Saints are hosting Hawthorn. Hawthorn coming off an absolute thumping of the Eagles, 100 and something points, taking on the Saints, who scraped home against the Giants. Look, Hawthorn aren't as bad as a lot of people predicted at the start of the year. They've got some good young players. Whether or not they can back it up week after week is another question. But I think this will be a competitive contest. I think the Saints should win. I'm hoping the Saints will win because we really need to. But it should be a fairly close encounter. That's what I would think.
I think it'll be close for a bit, and then the Saints will win.
We're not playing good football at the moment. That's the one thing I'll say is we look sore. I think the bye cannot come soon enough for the Saints players. We've got a lot of young kids, and they look like they need a rest.
I think the one thing we've learned from this season is that you can't take a form read about how some team goes against West Coast. Like, there's been a few times where people have gone, oh, they've got their mojo back after they played West Coast, and then the next week just got beaten by any team that isn't West Coast.
The Demons will be looking to bounce back against the Dockers. This is going to be the MCG. This is a huge game, really.
No Clayton
Eagles,
Oliver.
The Eagles, how dare I. The Dockers, who run 3 on the trot and have regained a bit of form. All their good players are starting to kind of lift. Taking on... this. You know what's exciting? This is the Luke Jackson game.
It is.
Luke Jackson gets to take on his own club. So there's a lot of spice behind this. Can you imagine the hoity-toity Melbourne fans booing Luke Jackson? Is that something that they would do?
Yeah, I reckon they probably will.
I think they would jeer. What do kind of high society people do? They wouldn't boo. That's too.
They'd harumph.
What would they do? Harumph.
Yeah, harumph.
Echoing around the MCG every time Luke Jackson gets the ball.
Harumph.
Harumph. This is a huge game because Melbourne, they're looking a bit shaky. I don't think Christian Petrarca's 100%. Hurt his foot a couple of weeks ago. And
no Oliver.
Okay.
Oliver's out.
Is Oliver injured too?
Yeah, hamstring. 4 weeks, I reckon.
Oh, so he's out? We know this on our Monday, Thursday tips?
I mean, as much as you can know something on a Monday morning about what's happening on the weekend, I believe that Oliver is out.
Well, I remember last year, the game that really franked Fremantle's finals credentials was they beat the D's on the MCG. So maybe it can happen again. Like, you look at the ladder position and it's 4th takes on 10th, but it feels a lot closer than that.
It does.
I'm going to bloody say Luke Jackson leads the Dockers to victory. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh, okay. I'm going to pick Melbourne, but I secretly hope what you said happens.
Yeah. Melbourne, who are your Swans? As the Swans are to me, Melbourne is to you. So let's hope we can both be happy. Although I tipped the Swans. You should have tipped Melbourne. Anyway, moving on.
No. I will say that it's tough for Melbourne without, like, if Oliver isn't playing, because that's like 30 possessions and like 8 throws a game that they won't have. So
Nice. The Cats taking on the Giants at GMHBA Stadium. Ooh, boy. Cats coming off a loss.
yeah.
Taking on the Giants, who we know are in a rebuild, admitted rebuild. This could get ugly.
Well, I think because, the Cats have been a bit down on form, obviously. They need a tune-up. They got to get home. They got to get some players back, in the team. They're going to... Yeah, I feel like this is a bad time for the Giants to be going down there. I feel like the Cats really need, a big win.
To thump someone.
Yeah.
Alex Williams was saying to me when we were watching the Giants and the Saints last weekend that he reckons Jeremy Cameron has been as good as he is now at the Cats. Just no one ever noticed it.
Yeah, at the Giants. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think he's elevated to another level again, but I think
it's because he's probably playing a different role, but he's always been as good. Right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
right.
that he's been utilised.
I mean, I also think that having Tom playing with a Tom Hawkins, the freedom that gives you that you don't get that defender and
Ben Patton, not Ben Patton. What was his name? Patton was no Tom
Patton
Hawkins.
Oswalt.
Yeah, Patton Oswalt, the comedian, was no. Who's that player? God, how quickly we forget. He's probably been retired 2 years, and I've forgotten what his name is. Patton, the big guy.
Oh, John Patton, Jonathan Patton.
John Patton. Yeah. Lest we forget. Okay, so Cats easily 6 goals. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I reckon the Cats will have a big win.
Okay, your boys taking on the Suns at Tio. Where's that? Tio Stadium? Is that Northern Territory? Tio? Hang on, there's a map.
I think every year we get caught up on this, and it might be
Larrakia. Yeah, I think it's the Northern Territory.
Yeah.
Is
okay.
that right? Oh, fucking hell! I got to Google this. This is terrible. Where is Tio Stadium? Okay, here we go. Northern Territory. Yes. Okay, that makes sense for Sir Doug Nicholls' round. Suns, who weren't that bad against the Lions, and you're going to say this is a danger game, but I do not believe you because the Bulldogs are humming.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going from no Johannesson, who was having probably the best season he's had since 2016. The fact that we're going from playing in Ballarat one weekend to playing in the Northern Territory the next weekend, I think is...
You're Wim Hofing it, aren't you? You've done the ice bath.
That really feels like the two conditions might not have prepared us for each of them. I feel like Gold Coast are a pretty good team, and the Bulldogs have been on a very good run. I mean, obviously I would like the Dogs to win, and I'm going to pick the Dogs, but I do think this is a danger game.
This is the game the Suns need to win. I can forgive them, as in Ross Lyon parlance, give them a mulligan losing to the Lions because they're just a great team. But this is a game that I think the Suns they need to win. They just have to win, and I'm going to pick the Dogs. Oh, the final game on Saturday night is the Eagles taking on the Bombers back home at Optus Stadium.
Yeah.
Oh boy. We just pick margins on this one? Will Adam Simpson be coach by the end of the game is the question.
What are the Eagles going to do this week? What did they do? What could they possibly do? Even if they sack the coach, it's not like you can suddenly miraculously come up with 20 players to...
Could they, rumble in the jungle... Ali going up against Foreman, it was a huge mismatch, so Ali just started playing mind games early, mouthing off and stuff, and then in the game they just rope-a-dope him. They just let Essendon kick the first 20 goals.
20 in the first quarter. They let them kick 20 goals in the first quarter.
Hope they get exhausted and then try and run over the top of them for the rest of the game.
I reckon that's not a bad plan. The rope-a-dope. Yeah. Essendon are going to win this game by a lot.
On Sunday, the Tigers host a Port Adelaide at the MCG. Everyone was saying Richmondy's back. I don't think so. Richmondy...
Jared Waitley was saying it. Will Anderson's Richmond.
As one of the originators of the term Richmondy, people are missing the point. It's not just about a close loss. It's about the funny way in which they would lose games. And that hasn't happened for a long time. So Richmondy's not back. Stop saying it's back. but they won't win this game. Port Adelaide are a genuinely good football team, and this is a chance for them to try out their finals aspirations on the MCG.
I agree with that.
This, and they'll win this easily. Speaking of slaughters, Collingwood are taking on North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium.
Should they, though?
It's weird.
I don't feel like that's fair.
What? That they should take on North?
Yeah, I feel like just like North doesn't need this right now.
No, this will be another 6-goal victory to the Pies. Brett Ratton to be appointed senior coach. I don't think that'll happen. And then lastly, Will, we have the Crows hosting the Lions at Amy Stadium. If they get Tex Walker back and they get Riley Thilthorpe back, then I'm going to tip the Crows, and that's my lock of the week.
I mean, Brisbane, I think, have got a point to prove about going back to Adelaide. After they went to Adelaide in the first round of the season and embarrassed themselves, I think that they've got to prove a point that they can actually travel to Adelaide again. And I just think that Brisbane are clearly a much better team at the Gabba. And Adelaide clearly had a week off resting against the Bulldogs so that they could play this game. I think that you're right, that I think that Adelaide have set themselves for, we're going to rest the players, get them ready for this home game that we want to play against Brisbane. So I think there's a chance that Adelaide do win, but I'm going to say Brisbane are the equal best team in the competition and they will win.
And that is our tips for round 11. You can listen to our podcast, Two Guys, One Cup, exclusive to the Listener app, or you can come back here to see our tips every Thursday afternoon. Play on, not 15.
Bo.